Born in a massively successful Dark Horse comic series, Alien vs. Predator was a match made in sci-fi heaven. The idea of pitting these two iconic monsters against each other was an instant hit, spawning a full-blown franchise of comics, toys, movies, and video games for years to come. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Arcade Economy, the series where we take a look at old arcade classics to determine just how much they would have cost to beat during the time of their release. In our last episode, we dove into the controversial shocker that was 1986's Chiller. Today, we're grabbing our pulse rifles and sharpening our wrist blades to dive into Capcom's Alien vs. Predator. Was this ultimate sci-fi showdown a perfectly tuned crossover, or was it just a chaotic free-for-all designed to overwhelm your senses and drain your wallet? As always, we're gonna find out. Back in the mid-80s, a small publisher named Dark Horse Comics was getting noticed, mostly thanks to their surprise hit, Concrete. The company's founder, Mike Richardson, had a pretty smart idea: buy up all of the rights to big movie franchises and adapt them into comics. In 1988, they struck gold with an Aliens adapted run, and a Predator run would follow just a year later. And as Dark Horse began thinking of the next big crossover, it dawned on them. Both the Alien and Predator franchises were owned by Fox, meaning the legal red tape to get them to fight was pretty thin. In late 1989, Dark Horse published 3 short stories in Dark Horse Presents that would act as a lead-in to the new Alien vs. Predator run in early 1990. It exploded onto the scene and pretty much put Dark Horse on the map. That same year, a legendary Easter egg would be featured in Predator 2, with the Xenomorph skull being showcased in the Predator's trophy room, confirming what comic readers already knew, that these franchises could coexist within the same universe. Suddenly, AVP toys were being put into production, and Hollywood even started adapting a script. So it only made sense that the next stop was a long list of AVP video games. Now back then, a lot of these game franchises followed a very similar strategy. A lot of these games would get released in arcades and then ported over to consoles or have sequels be featured on consoles. But when it comes to Alien vs. Predator, they did the exact opposite. The first game in the franchise was Alien vs. Predator on the SNES, released in 1993. That same year, we also got a Game Boy game, Alien vs. Predator: The Last of His Clan. And they were alright. Forgettable, but alright. They were absolutely nothing compared to what was about to come. Capcom not only obtained the rights to the Alien vs. Predator IP, they also had an early draft of that Alien vs. Predator movie script that was being planned. They began production on an arcade game and entrusted Tetsuya Legima and Toshihiko Uda to lead the project, with the full expectation of releasing it alongside the movie. But in a classic case of Hollywood development hell, the movie suffered massive setbacks, and it would be another decade before we saw the two monsters clash on the big screen, in what was for most an underwhelming debut. Capcom, not wanting to sit on a finished product, released Alien vs. Predator into arcades in May of 1994 to critical acclaim. It really is a must-play for any fans of the beat-em-up genre, or fans of arcade games in general. Unfortunately, the game never received any ports. There were rumors of a 32X port, but that, well, never got released due to the spectacular failure of the 32X add-on itself. And 1994 was a busy year for the franchise. Another game, developed by Rebellion and simply titled Alien vs. Predator, was released for the Atari Jaguar. The game was praised for its incredible gameplay and graphics of the time, and it's still considered by many to be the one game to actually own on that system. Rebellion would go on to make an action horror AVP game for the PC in 1999, while Monolith delivered a sequel in 2001. Both released to pretty positive reviews. The franchise also saw a console-only real-time strategy in 2003, and a movie tie-in for AVP Requiem on the PSP in 2007. As of this video's release, the last video game in the franchise was another Rebellion-developed game simply titled, you guessed it, Alien vs. Predator in 2010, which initially released to poor reviews but has since been patched to hell and is now seen as a decent entry. What I failed to mention here were the numerous mobile games that released over the years, which just really aren't worth talking about. So yeah, Alien vs. Predator has had its ups and downs over the years. Many consider the 1994 arcade game to be one of the best beat-em-ups ever made. Unfortunately, I believe that this game and a lot of other beat-em-ups that got released around this time tend to get overlooked in favor of earlier beat-em-ups, and it's probably due to the diminishing popularity among the beat-em-up genre as a whole around this time. The storyline of the AVP arcade game acts as a continuation of the Predator franchise. One of the characters you get to play as is Major Dutch Schaefer. For those of you that are familiar, that's Arnold's character from the first Predator movie. Although he may look a little different. Now he's a cyborg sporting a mechanical arm. He's joined by fellow cyborg Lieutenant Linn Kurosawa. Dutch and Kurosawa find themselves in Sandrad, California, a city that's been overrun by Xenomorphs. Abandoned by their superiors, the two find themselves surrounded by alien drones. Just when all appears to be lost, a group of Predators show up to eliminate the alien threat. The Predators offer an alliance to stop the alien infestation of Earth, and you're on your way. A few levels into the game, and the players discover that the Xenomorph presence on Earth is the result of a bioweapons project, and is headed by a new antagonist, General Bush, under the direction of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. Because of course they're behind it, I wouldn't have it any other way. This newfound alliance must work together to neutralize the Xenomorphs and stop General Bush. In its gameplay, Alien vs. Predator is a 3-player beat-em-up with an attack button, a jump or dash button, and a projectile attack. We've all seen this similar formula before, but AVP really takes it up a notch. Capcom unleashes a wall of Xenomorphs at you from every conceivable angle, and it rarely lets up. It's a good kind of chaos that I just couldn't get enough of. At the start of the game, players get to choose between 4 different characters who all play completely different. There are 2 humans. Major Dutch Schaefer is a heavy hitter with a massive smart gun for an arm that mows down enemies. Then there's the fan favorite Lieutenant Linn Kurosawa, a martial artist who's faster than everyone else, uses a katana, and has a rapid-fire pistol. Rounding out the roster are the 2 Predators. The Predator Warrior, modeled after the Jungle Hunter from the first movie, is the older of the 2. He's a well-balanced powerhouse with no real weakness. Then there's the Predator Hunter, the younger one who resembles the City Hunter from Predator 2. He plays similarly, but he's a bit slower on recovery. He makes up for it with more raw power. Both Predators also come with a chargeable shoulder cannon, making them fantastic for crowd controlling the screen. Each character has a dash attack, a diving attack, and a unique ranged weapon. When you get in trouble, you can combine buttons to perform a jumping dive attack and a low dash attack to take care of those pesky facehuggers and chest bursters. Hitting jump and attack together unleashes a special desperation attack that clears out your immediate area, but at the cost of a sliver of your health. A classic strategic trade-off. Sacrifice a bit of your life bar to get out of a tough situation. Kurosawa and the Predators are armed with melee weapons which can be dropped if they take damage. This will change up your player combos. Kurosawa is equipped with a katana, while the Predator Warrior carries a combi stick and the Hunter carries a bladed staff. Dutch does not have any melee weapon, he just kind of punches stuff, but he is the only character who can pick up other players' weapons and use them, while the rest of the roster just throws them. And on top of all that, the game is filled to the brim with gun pickups, which turns this game into a run and gun at the blink of an eye. You can pick up the iconic pulse rifle, flamethrowers, grenade launchers, and a heavy smart gun. You can also pick up throwing weapons like the Predator disc from Predator 2, knives, and explosives. And there are also other melee weapons that can be picked up, like pipes. Each level features a number of destructible environments, because if you can't smash a barrel to find a whole-ass chicken, is it even considered a beat-em-up? Health pickups are found throughout each level, and there are a number of super magazines or unlimited ammo pickups that let you rapid-fire your projectile attack for a full 10 seconds. Talk about over-the-top non-stop action. There are a couple of shooting-only levels where you'll ride on top of an APC to keep the Xenos at bay. These levels are a little underwhelming and in my opinion not needed, but they can be a nice break in the action. Because this game has so many distinct characters, moves, and weapons, it may take a little bit to get used to what everything does and how to manage the screen, especially when it's just a non-stop wave of enemies. It can be overwhelming, but once you get it down, it's easy to see why this game is considered one of the best in the genre. Even while I was writing my script and reviewing my gameplay, I kept feeling like I had to add on to the gameplay section because there's so many things to do and so many different nuances It was like, oh yeah, you can do this too, and don't forget about this. The enemy variety in the game is also fantastic. There are a large number of aliens that you'd expect, like drones and runners, but there's also a bunch made specifically for the game, like defenders and smashers. The game also switches up to a number of human enemies in later levels just to keep things fresh. I guess good thing Weyland-Yutani has an extensive payroll. In the game's 7 levels, you'll fight through a mesh of city and spaceship environments and take on 6 different bosses. I'm not sure if I'm saying this correctly, but Chrysalis is the boss of the first level, and like most first level bosses, he's pretty easy. He'll dash attack you and roll into a ball. I just tried to avoid him and hit him with a projectile to stagger him when he got too close. Razor Claws is the boss of the second level, and he has a dash attack where he'll hit you with his, you guessed it, Razor Claws. The Alien Queen is the boss of the 4th level. She's attached to her egg sac in this boss fight, but will call upon her drones and facehuggers to attack you as well. She can spit acid, whip you with her tail, bite you with her secondary jaws, and if you get too close, grab and throw you. She's honestly a little tough. Just try to crowd control the other aliens and avoid her attacks when you can. I defeated her with Kurosawa and her jumping attack that can be chained between enemies. The legendary Power Loader is the next boss. It's pretty slow moving and not too tough. It'll wind up for a dash attack, so just be patient and move out of the way. It also has a flamethrower attack, so try not to stand directly in front of it. The Mad Predator might be the hardest boss in the game. He has a lot of varied attacks that deal a ton of damage. He's also fast and can turn invisible. Try not to get too close to him because he will throw you or hit you with a devastating combo. I don't think the damage is unavoidable per se, but you're probably going to take damage on this boss. Just try to keep your distance and be smart with your attacks. The final boss is a rematch against the Alien Queen, and this time she's detached from her egg sac and super pissed off. She has 3 health bars and a number of different attacks. She'll also call on a number of drones and powerful enemies to assist. Again, getting too close will result in the queen grabbing and smashing you. She can also attack with her tail and her arms and will leave the screen for a sweeping tail-only attack. Use your ranged weapons when you can and just try to be patient. I used a number of desperation attacks here to stagger her once her health got low. And now, to answer the question, how much did I spend to beat Alien vs. Predator? For these games, I play them on emulator and I set up a counter to increase every time I hit the insert coin button. For Alien vs. Predator, that meant 25-cent plays on medium difficulty, and each play gave me 2 lives. At the end of the game, I spent $3.50 to beat Alien vs. Predator, or 14 plays. Now, this game came out in 1994, and I feel like 50-cent plays were probably the standard around that time, so I'm actually going to go with that metric when putting this in the record book. So for 50-cent plays, this would have been $7. Now, adjusting for inflation, in 1994, $3.50 would feel like spending $7.71 today, and spending $7 would feel like spending $50.41 today. It took me 53 minutes to beat Alien vs. Predator, so this game was actually a little bit on the longer side when it comes to beat-em-ups. And when we're talking about cost per minute, at 50-cent plays, this would only be 13 cents per minute, and at 25-cent plays, it would only be 6.5 cents per minute. For the bosses, I spent no money on Chrysalis, 25 cents on Razor Claws, 25 cents on the first round with the Alien Queen, 25 cents on the Power Loader, 50 cents on the Mad Predator, and 50 cents on the second round with the Queen. So that means I spent $2.25 on the bosses, or $4.50 if I were playing for 50 cents. And now let's burst out the Predatory game scale to determine just how predatory this game was when it came to stealing your money. For cost to beat and rate of spend, I feel like this is kind of right in the middle when compared to other beat-em-ups. I didn't really notice any type of input reading or AI cheating or anything like that. For the punitive game mechanics, I will say that there is maybe a little bit of a learning curve just because there's an overwhelming amount of things going on, weapons being dropped, pickups on the level, different combinations that you can use and dash attacks and whatnot. So there might be a little bit of a learning curve. For example, I didn't realize that you had a low dash attack to take care of the facehuggers and chest bursters in the game, but once you figure it out, it becomes a ton of fun to play. Also, this game is like almost an hour long. And there's so many different enemy varieties and so many different pickups. And there's an engaging storyline, especially for an arcade game around this time. The more I think about this game, the more I'm realizing how much I enjoyed it. You know, I went into this thinking I was gonna give it maybe around a 2-3, but the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm realizing how good of a game this game is. I think I'm gonna do it. I think this game gets it. A first on this channel, it is my honor to give Alien vs. Predator a 1 on the Predatory game scale.
Time to hunt.
Now, can you play this game today? Unfortunately, no, you cannot unless you find it in the wild or emulate it. I think this is abandonware. Maybe we will get it in some type of collection in the future, but as of this video's release, that does not exist. Next time on Arcade Economy, I am playing through the 1990 game show run and gun Smash TV. So be sure to come back for that video. If you'd like to support Mass Replay, you can do so by becoming a patron on Patreon or a YouTube member. Supporting the channel at the VIP viewer level will get you access to all of my videos early and ad-free, plus you'll be able to play with me during our monthly community streams. You can also support us at the producer level and get your name shouted out in my videos just like our Patreon producer, Paula Boone. Shout out to Paula Boone for being our very first Patreon producer. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Big thumbs up, and hopefully you'll see me on my next Arcade Economy. Thank you for watching.